Hello, we are both Ishmael, and I am Captain Peleg.
I'm Captain Bildad.
All right, here we go. I began to think it was high time to settle with myself at what terms I would be willing to engage for the voyage. I was already aware that in the whaling business they paid no wages, but all hands, including the captain, received certain shares of the profits called leys, and that these leys were proportioned to the degree of importance pertaining to the respective duties of the ship's company. I was also aware that being a green hand at whaling, my own lay would not be very large. But considering that I was used to the sea, could steer a ship, splice a rope and all that, I made no doubt that from all I had heard, I should be offered at least the 275th lay. That is, the 275th part of the clear net proceeds of the voyage, whatever that might eventually amount to. And though the 275th lay was what they called a rather long lay, yet it was better than nothing. And if we had a lucky voyage, it might pretty nearly pay for the clothing I would wear on it, not to speak of my 3 years' beef and board, for which I would not have to pay one stiver.
It might be thought that this was a poor way to accumulate a princely fortune, and so it was, a very poor way indeed. But I am one of those that never take on about princely fortunes, and I am quite content if the world is ready to board on and lodge with me, while I am putting up at this grim sign of the thundercloud. Upon the whole, I thought that the 275th lay would be about the fair thing, but would not have been surprised had I been offered the 200th, considering I was on board shoulder make. But one thing, nevertheless, that made me a little distrustful about receiving a generous share of the profits was this. Ashore, I had heard something about both Captain Peleg and his unaccountable old crony Bildad, how that they being the principal proprietors of the Pequod, therefore the other and more inconsiderable and scattered owners, left nearly the whole management of the ship's affair to these two. And I did not know but one thing, the stingy old Bildad might have a mighty deal to say about shipping hands, especially as I now found him on board with the Pequod, quite at home there in the cabin and reading his Bible as if at his own fireside. Now while Peleg was vainly trying to mend a pen with his jackknife, old Bildad, to my no small surprise, considering that he was such an interested party in these proceedings. Bildad never heeded us, but went on mumbling to himself out of this book. Lay not for yourselves treasures upon earth, where moth...
Well, Captain Bildad, interrupting Peleg, what do you say? What lay shall we give to this young man?
Thou knowest best, was the sepulchral reply. The 777th would be too much, wouldn't it? Where moth and rust do corrupt, but lay...
Lay indeed, thought I, in such a lay, the 777th? Well, old Bildad, you are determined that I, for one, shall not lay up many lays here below where moth and rust do corrupt.
It was an exceedingly long lay, that indeed, and though from the magnitude of the figure it might at first deceive a landsman, yet the slightest consideration will show that though 777th is a pretty large number yet, when you come to make a tenth of it, you will then see, I say, that the 777th part of a farthing is a good deal less than 777 gold doubloons. And so I thought at the same time.
Why, blast your eyes, Bildad, cried Peleg. Thou dost not want to swindle this young man. He must have more than that.
777th, again said Bildad, without lifting his eyes, and then went on mumbling. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also.
I am going to put him down for the 300th, said Peleg. Do you hear that, Bildad? The 300th lay, I say.
Bildad laid down his book, and turning solemnly towards him, said, Captain Peleg, thou hast a generous heart, but thou must consider the duty thou owest to the other owners of the ship, widows and orphans, many of them, and that if we too abundantly reward the labors of this young man, we will be taking the bread from those widows and those orphans. The 777th lay, Captain Peleg.
Though, Bildad, roared Peleg, starting up and clattering about the cabin, blast ye, Captain Bildad, if I had followed thy advice in these matters, I would afore now to have the conscience to lug about would be heavy enough to founder the largest ship that ever sailed around Cape Horn.
Captain Peleg, said Bildad steadily, thy conscience may be drawing 10 inches of water, or 10 fathoms, I can't tell, but as thou art still an impotent man, Captain Peleg, I greatly fear lest thy conscience be but a leaky one, and will in the end sink thee foundering down to the fiery pit, Captain Peleg.
Fiery pit, fiery pit! Ye insult me, man. Past all natural bearing, ye insult me. It's an all-fired outrage to tell any human creature that he's bound to hell. Flukes and flames! Bildad, say that again to me and start my soul bolts. But I'll swallow a live goat with all his hair and horns on. Out of the cabin, ye canting, drab-colored son of a wooden gun, a straight wake with ye!
As he thundered out this, he made a rush at Bildad. But with the marvelous oblique, sliding celerity, Bildad, for that time, eluded him. Alarmed at this terrible outburst between the two principal and responsible owners of the ship, and feeling half a mind to give up all idea of sailing in a vessel so questionably owned and temporarily commanded, I stepped aside from the door to give egress to Bildad, who, I made no doubt, was all eagerness to vanish from before the awakened wrath of Peleg. But to my astonishment, he sat down again on the transom very quietly, and seemed to have not the slightest intention of withdrawing.
He seemed quite used to the impenitent Peleg and his ways. As for Peleg, after letting off his rage as he had, there seemed no more left of him, and he too sat down like a lamb, though he twitched a little, as if still nervously agitated. Phew! He whistled at last. The squall's gone off to leeward, I think. Bildad, thou used to be good at sharpening a lance. Mend that pen, will ye? My jackknife here needs the grindstone. Thank ye, Bildad. Now then, my young man, Ishmael's thy name, didn't you say? Well then, down ye go here. Ishmael for the 300th leg.
Captain Peleg, said I have a friend with me who wants to ship too. Shall I bring him down tomorrow?
To be sure, said Peleg. Fetch him along and we'll look at him.
What lay does he want? Groaned Bildad, glancing up from his book in which he had again been burying himself.
Oh, never thee mind about that, Bildad, said Peleg. Has he ever whaled at any? Turning to me.
Killed more whales than I can count, Captain Peleg.
Well, bring him along then.
All done.